Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 21, the opulence and sweetness of Sri Krishna. It's Mahaprabhu talking to Rupa Goswami about the personal beauties and opulences and sweetness of Krishna. The verse is number 132. Yanra punya punja pale se mukha darshana mile dui anki ki karibe pane dviguna bare trishna lobha pite nare manak shobha duke kare vidhira nindane. If by devotional service one gets the results of pious activities and sees Lord Krishna's face, he can relish the Lord with his eyes. His greed and thirst then increase twofold by seeing the nectarian face of Krishna. Due to one's inability to sufficiently drink that nectar, one becomes very unhappy and criticizes the Creator for not having given more than two eyes. Hare Krishna, Jai Jai Krishna. Nadileka laksha koti sabe dila anki duti tate dila nimisha achadana. Vidhi jara tapodana rasa shunya taramana nahi jane yogya srijana. When the onlooker of Krishna's face becomes dissatisfied in this way, he thinks, why didn't the Creator give me thousands and millions of eyes? Why has he given me only two? Even these two eyes are disturbed by blinking, which keeps me from continuously seeing Krishna's face. Thus one accuses the Creator of being dry and tasteless due to engaging in severe austerities. The Creator is only a dry manufacturer. He does not know how to create and set things in proper places. Ye dikebe Krishna nana tarakare dvinayana vidhi hana hena avachara more yadi bola dare koti anki tarakare tabe jane yogya shristi tara. The Creator says, those who will see Krishna's beautiful face have two eyes. Just see the lack of consideration exhibited by this person posing as a creator. If the Creator took my advice, he would give millions of eyes to the person who intends to see Sri Krishna's face. If the Creator will accept this advice, then I would say that he is competent in his work. Krishnanga madhurya sindhu Sumadura mukha indu ati madhu smita shukirani etini lagila mana lobhe kare ashvadana sloka pare svahasta chalane. The transcendental form of Lord Sri Krishna is compared to an ocean. A particularly extraordinary vision is the moon above that ocean, and another vision is his smile, which is sweeter than sweet and is shining like beams of moonlight. While speaking these things with Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to remember one thing after another. Moving his hands in ecstasy, he recited a verse. Madhuram madhuram vapurasya vibhur madhuram madhuram vadanam madhuram madhu gandhi mridhu smritam itad aho madhuram 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 madhuram. O my Lord, the transcendental body of Krishna is very sweet, and his face is even sweeter than his body. The soft smile on his face, which is like the fragrance of honey, is sweeter still. And purport, this is a verse quoted from Krishna Karnamrita by Bilva Mangala Thakur. Sanatana Krishna Madhurya Amritara Sindhu Moramana Sanipati Sabapete Karimati Durdaiva Vaidya Nadaya Ekabindu. My dear Sanatan, the sweetness of Krishna's personality is just like an ocean of ambrosia. Although my mind is now afflicted by convulsive diseases, and I wish to drink that entire ocean, the repressive physician does not allow me to drink even one drop. Krishnanga lavanya pura madura haiti sumadura tate ye mukha sudhakara. Madura haite sumadura taha haite sumadura tara ye smita jyotsnabara. Krishna's body is a city of attractive features, and it is sweeter than sweet. His face, which is like the moon, is sweeter still, and the gentle smile on that moon-like face is like rays of moonshine. Madura haite sumadura, taha haite sumadura, taha haite ati sumadura. Apanada ekakane, vyape sabatri bhuvane, dashadik vyape yadapura. The beauty of Krishna's smile is the sweetest feature of all. His smile is like a full moon that spreads its rays throughout the three worlds. Goloka Vrindavan, the spiritual sky of Vaikunthas, and Devi Dham, the material world. Thus Krishna's shining beauty spreads in all 10 directions. Smita kirana sukarpure, paise adhara madure, se madhu mataya tribhovane. Vamsi chidra kashe, taraguna sabde paise, dvani rupe pana pariname. His slight smiling and fragrant illumination are compared to camphor, which enters the sweetness of the lips. That sweetness is transformed and enters into space as vibrations from the holes of his flute. Sedvani chodiki daya, andabedi vaikunteyaya, bale paise jagate rakane, sabamato yalakare, balatkare anedare, vishesata yuvati ragane. The sound of Krishna's flute spreads in 4 directions. Even though Krishna vibrates his flute within this universe, its sound pierces the universal covering and goes to the spiritual sky. Thus the vibration enters the ears of all inhabitants. It especially enters Goloka Vrindavan Dham and attracts the minds of the young damsels of Brajabhumi, bringing them forcibly to where Krishna is present. Dvani bada udhata pativratara bange brata patikola haite tane ane vaikuntera lakshmi gane ye kari akarshane tara age keva gopi gane. The vibration of Krishna's flute is very aggressive, and it breaks the vows of all chaste women. Indeed, its vibration takes them forcibly from the laps of their husbands. And the vibration of his flute attracts even the goddesses of fortune in the Vaikuntha planets, to say nothing of the poor damsels of Vrindavan. Nivi kasaya pati age, griha dharma karaya tyage, bale dari ane Krishna stane, loka dharma lajjebaya, saba jnana luptahaya, aichena chaya saba narigane. The vibration of his flute slackens the knots of their underwear even in front of their husbands. Thus the gopis are forced to abandon their household duties and come before Lord Krishna. In this way, all social etiquette, shame and fear are vanquished. The vibration of his flute causes all women to dance. Kanera bitara vashakare apana tanha sarasvure anya shabda nadeya praveshite. Anakata nashune kana, anabalite bolaya ana, e krishnera vamshira charite. The vibration of his flute is just like a bird that creates a nest within the ears of the gopis and always maintains prominence there, not allowing any other sound to enter their ears. Indeed, the gopis cannot hear anything else, nor are they able to concentrate on anything else, not even give a suitable reply. Such are the effects of the vibration of Lord Krishna's flute. Punakahe bhaya jnane anakahite kahilun ane Krishna kripa tomara upare Modachita brahmakare nijaishwarya madhuri mure mukhe sunaya tomare. Resuming his external consciousness, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, I have not spoken of what I intended. Lord Krishna is very merciful to you, because by bewildering my mind, he has exposed his personal opulence and sweetness. He has caused you to hear all of these things from me for your understanding. So Mahaprabhu says he goes into a trance, an ecstatic trance, and prolifically pours out this praise of Krishna's personal beauty and the charming, the unstoppable sweetness of Krishna's flute, his effect on the gopis, pouring out these verses to Sanatana Goswami. Hari Bol. And then almost apologizes by saying, sorry, I didn't speak as I intended. I got carried away and entered an ecstatic state, and this is the mercy of Krishna to you. He has caused you to hear all of these things from me for your edification. Amita bola anakahi te anakahi Krishnara madhuryam rita shruti yaivahi. Since I have become a madman, I am saying one thing instead of another. This is because I am being carried away by the waves of nectarian ocean of Lord Krishna's transcendental sweetness. Tabe Mahaprabhu kshaneka mona karirahe mane eka karipuna sanatane kahe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then remained silent for a moment. Finally, adjusting things within his mind, he again spoke to Sanatana Goswami. Krishnara madhuri ara Mahaprabhura mukhe ihaye shuni se base prema sukhe. I now summarize these teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If anyone gets an opportunity to hear about the sweetness of Krishna in this chapter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he will certainly be eligible to float in the transcendentally blissful ocean of love of God. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pare Yaras Asha Chaitanya Charatamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. And of course that verse signals the end of the chapter. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pare Yara Asha Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. So, Sanatana Shiksha continues. I'll read at the beginning of each chapter. Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada has presented a chapter summary taken from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Amrita Pravahabhasya, which is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. And they're nice, they're very nice summaries. So we'll begin chapter 22, the process of devotional service. And so this is the summary of the chapter. In this 22nd chapter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes the process of devotional service. In the beginning, he describes the truth about the living entity and the super excellence of devotional service. He then describes the uselessness of mental speculation and mystic yoga. In all circumstances, the living entity is recommended to accept the path of devotional service, as personally explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The speculative method of the so-called jnanis is considered a waste of time, and that is proved in this chapter. an intelligent person should abandon the processes of karma kanda, jnana kanda, and mystic yoga. Jai Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Gauranga. One should give up all these useless processes and take seriously to the path of Krishna consciousness. In this way, one's life will be successful. If one takes to Krishna consciousness fully, even though he may sometimes be agitated due to having previously practiced mental speculation and yogic mysticism, he will be saved by Lord Krishna himself. The fact is that devotional service is bestowed by the blessings of a pure devotee. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. A pure devotee is the supreme transcendentalist, and one has to receive his mercy for one's dormant Krishna consciousness to be awakened. One has to associate with pure devotees. If one has firm faith in the words of a great soul, pure devotional service will awaken. And of course, those are the operative words: firm faith, Shraddha. Everything, as Gurudev says, is based on Shraddha, premised on Shraddha. Shraddha predicates all further developments in Krishna consciousness. And without the Shraddha, of course, seeming advancements may be made, but it's as if a fancy house is built on flimsy foundations. When some turbulence comes, wind or earth, then the whole house collapses. So, similarly, some seeming advancement may be made without strong Shraddha, but when a test arrives in a devotee's life, then the whole thing falls down like a house of cards.
Shraddha must be a gift. I don't know how anyone could deserve to.
Yes.
That must be a gift.
Well,
devotee,
it's interesting.
Or grace from prior life. Who knows what the prior life.
Yes, that does play a part in terms of being able to appreciate certain things that produce Shraddha, or having some initial faith. But ultimately it all comes from Krishna via the devotees.
Yes,
particularly one's guru, who's considered the primary devotee in one's life. Yeah. And of course we have Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya, then Anat Nivriti, etc., as we know. Yeah. And not Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that Shraddha, there is something of a sort of an interplay between Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha. Mm-hmm. That, say there's some, he talks of like there being two varieties of, or at least an interplay, where someone has to have a little faith, generally, to associate with devotees. Otherwise they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't see any benefit in it. So they have some initial faith. And based on that faith, they associate with devotees. And that association with the devotees cements their faith. Yes.
Your faith then must grow like watered flowers.
Yes. So that initial faith is then consolidated and made stronger, and it flourishes with the association of devotees. And with that stronger faith, which is a product of Vaishnava Sangha, devotee association, then they're able to have greater appreciation for Sadhu Sangha, and they indulge in it further. So the faith leads them to do Sadhu Sangha, and the Sadhu Sangha increases their faith, and their increased faith boosts their appreciation for Sadhu Sangha. So it's like a positive feedback cycle.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So Sanatan Rupa Goswami gives it and calls it. I think he refers to Sadhu Sangha. He calls it Dui Sadhu Sangha. So like there's two Sadhu Sanghas. The first is not actual proper Sadhu Sangha, because how can a person have proper faith without association of Vaishnavas.
Association of the Vaishnava.
Yes, it's almost like a baby type faith,
Yeah.
or a neutrality, perhaps a curiosity. So they're curious, they have a little faith or a little interest, they come and associate with devotees. And it's that association that gives them proper faith. And with that proper faith, then they can actually associate properly with the devotees. So it's like a second type of sadhusanga. Sadhusanga gives faith in its own power, in its own. The association of devotees gives faith in the goodness of the association of devotees. So Rupa Goswami explains it. I realize this introductory passage here is probably not taken from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Amrita Pravaha Vasya. I'm guessing it doesn't sound like the passages that have been taken from the Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, that are based on Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Amrita Pravaha Vasya, sound a little different. Anyway, in this chapter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has differentiated between a pure devotee and others. Maybe it has, I don't know. He describes the characteristics of a pure devotee. A devotee's most formidable enemy is association with woman in an enjoying spirit. Association with non-devotees is also condemned because it is a formidable enemy on the path of devotional service. One has to fully surrender unto the lotus feet of Krishna and give up attraction for women and non-devotees. And of course for women, that means men. Yes, so it's basically...
It's the whole package.
Yes, it's basically this idea of calm, the sensual, romantic, sexual enjoyments, then that's a big obstacle. And of course it's a whole psychophysical complex. It's not just a physical thing, it's not just a psychological phenomenon, it's both. And of course it's been listed as one of the triad of major obstacles to bhakti. Kanak, Kamini, and Pratishta. Kanak, Kamini, Pratishta. And so here in this chapter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talks about the importance of avoiding the temptations of Kamini, the lust. The 6 symptoms of fully surrendered souls are also described in this chapter, as well as mundane association. It is said that engaging in, it is said that, it is said somewhere, and I forget exactly where, it could be in a Bhagavatam verse, that engaging, let's say, in mundane sensuality is one thing, but it's not as bad as associating with people that are addicted to such. Said specifically in regard to kamini, like for instance, lust towards the opposite sex. Indulging in that is one thing, but actively associating with people that are addicted to that are immersed in that, it is a constant theme in their lifestyle. That is even worse.
Yeah.
That's what it says. That's worse. The effect is actually on one's consciousness is more polluting than involvement in it oneself.
Oh dear, no thank you.
Yeah.
No, you're good at.
Because indulgence in it by oneself, you can almost it could almost be said that one can then reflect on such an action and assess it, analyze it, see what it's worth, what it's delivering for one, and realize that it's not delivering much relative to one's spiritual processes. And then learn from that, correct course, resume your spiritual trajectory. But if you're associating with people that are actively pursuing, inspired by these sensual pleasures, then you're immersed in a culture of it, like a living culture of it, where you cannot have the space to analyze your actions, to analyze your direction, reflect upon whatever whatever you may have indulged in, because you're in an environment which is culturing that, which is nurturing and fueling that. So it's much worse in terms of being able to extricate oneself from it. It's much worse, the effect of persons who have no spiritual interest but much excitement for material titillations. The 6 symptoms of fully surrendered souls are also described in this chapter. Devotional service has been divided into 2 categories: regulative devotional service and spontaneous love, which is Vaidhi Bhakti and Raga Bhakti. There are 64 items listed in regulative devotional service, and out of these 64, the last 5 are considered very important. By practicing even one of the 9 processes of devotional service, one can become successful. Speculative knowledge and mystic yoga can never help one in devotional service. Pious activity, non-violence, sense control and regulation are not separate from devotional service in its pure form. If one engages in devotional service, all good qualities follow. One does not have to cultivate them separately. Spontaneous devotional service arises when one follows a pure devotee who is awakened to spontaneous love of God. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described the symptoms of devotees who are already situated in spontaneous love of God, he has also described the devotees who are trying to follow in the footsteps of the pure devotees. Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. So, as always, we will read from Revealed Truth by Srila Bhaktisundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj. We're on a new chapter today. Chapter 14, the transcendental vibration form of the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly said, Yat karoshi yad ashnasi yaj juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kunteya tat kurushvamad arpanam. Offer me anything you do in your life. When someone lives in this consciousness, then they live in the transcendental service world. But to offer our actions to the Lord according to our own ideas and desires is not the highest standard of spiritual life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dismissed this verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita in his conversation with Ramananda Roy in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita because he wanted to establish the mood and ideal of exclusive pure devotion to Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conception is that if Krishna says to you, I want a samosa, if you bring me a samosa, I will be very satisfied. And you bring Krishna a samosa, then your activity will surely be pleasing to Krishna. This is real Bhagavad Dharma and the standard of devotion established by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Real Bhagavad Dharma means surrendering to Krishna and serving him according to his will by understanding the desire of Krishna and trying to satisfy him in that way. Making offerings to Krishna according to his desires and not ours. When Krishna himself explains how you can satisfy him, and if you follow that process, you are going to follow the best process to serve and satisfy Krishna. It may be difficult for the ego to do this, but it's very simple, and it is certain that Krishna will be satisfied by it. Ye vai bhagavat prokta upaya hyatma labdhaye anjaha pumsham avidusham vidhi bhagavatan hitan. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:2-34. Krishna says, it doesn't matter if you do not have any knowledge or intelligence or so many qualities and qualifications. If you follow the process that I say will satisfy me, then I will be very happy with you and I will become your property. When Krishna wants to give himself, he can give himself to anyone, and what he says is the most satisfying to him is the supreme way to serve him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established this as a higher but also simple standard of devotion for everyone. If we try to follow it in accordance with his desire, we will be supremely benefited, and gradually all mundane desires will be ousted from our hearts. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Hari Haraya, anyone?
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopala.
Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana.
Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana.
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana.
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Radha Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Radha Radha Shri Vasari.
Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunatha. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raghunath. Jai Gosai Kori Charana Vandana. Yaha Haiti Vignana Sabita Puran. Jai Gosai Yara Muri Saradasa. Naga Pasavara Padareno More Panchagram. Radha Charana Sevi Bhakta Kanivat. Jana me more Avila. Jai Gosai Jabe Brate Kailapal. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash. Anande Gora Hari Praja Vrindavana. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Madhyaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Pade Koyasa. Hari Naam Sankirtana Kohe Narotamata. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasti Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol. Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Sri Radha Sri Jai. Jai Vishnu Bhakti Bhakti Niyam Acharya Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Bhakti Bhakti Sundar Vidya Keswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Bhakti Bhakti Rasa Sri Hare Keswami Maharaj ki Jai. Bhagavan Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai. Guru Guru Bhargava ki Jai. Krishna Varanya Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. Namaskar Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Namaskar Vaishnava Mandala ki Jai. Namaskar Bhakti Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Harinam Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat London ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Jai Gaur
Hari Hari Bol.
Radharani Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
No.
Oh my goodness. Unbelievable.
Krishna.